what's up?
The last phase of Black television that I know about, aside from Abbott Elementary and the dumpster trash that is Zeus Network, is Blackish, Insecure, and Grownish. Even though these shows had a few flaws here and there, their overall premise is centered around normalcy and relatability, and that is successful on its own. So when Keke Palmer announced a new series on her network, Keytv, we as an audience were excited because it's Keke. We love Keke, we support Keke, and we feel like Keke, whose title usually hits as the first Black damn near everything, is gonna bring us a gem, a creme de la creme. But unfortunately, we were met with a tone-deaf abomination. Did you even read the script? And who approved this is the general response. The show is called Southern Fried Rice. It is about an Asian girl who was adopted by a Black family who decided to go to an HBCU, in which she hopes to find herself by navigating questions of identity, belonging, and self-discovery, which is cute. But here's where the criticism lies. Its portrayal of stereotypes to bring character into the show. The stereotypes that are a few to none, and again, aren't exactly normal in the everyday Black experience, or even the Asian experience. Red flag number 1 is her best friend, being smart and educated and finding out she is pregnant, then decides to stay home for her pregnancy instead of going to college. The dialogue for that scene was so trash. Oh my fucking gosh. It was so self-deprecating in the most cliche, stereotypical way. It reminds me of Beauty in Black, like the first episode where Kimmy and her best friend Rain were at a convention and Kimmy wanted to enter a contest to win a scholarship, and Rain talking about you're not gonna win the scholarship because we're just some hoes. Like, who the fuck wrote that shit? That's how I feel about this scene. 2, the main antagonist is her overweight Black roommate, and I don't even want to get into that trope. If you watch the scene, it's like, whatever. You can see where it's going. And 3, I didn't get that far, but apparently someone got jumped. I don't know. Y'all let me know, please. And the main issue, why is she dressed like that? You can be into Black culture while still looking like you're in 2025 instead of 1997. Look at her hair. Does that make sense? Why couldn't she keep her Korean hair straight? There are only 2 episodes, or I think there's actually more episodes out now, but people have a lot to say about why this show is very offensive and misses the mark.
Keke Palmer's Southern Fried Rice should have just been called Aquafina Apologia, because that's all it is. The story of a transracial Asian adoptee to Black American parents navigating college life sounds really interesting, but that type of story requires so much care and nuance and like a very specific tone that doesn't allow for ambiguity about whether or not the project is for Asian American actors playing caricatures of Black Americans, because we have to be against that. Asian Americans deserve more representation in Hollywood, deserve more representation in media, but it cannot come at the expense of Black Americans who also deserve more honest, good representation in media. And there's been way too many Asian Americans that profit off of turning into a caricature of a Black American that does not exist in real life and honestly only exists within the most racist writing room of an 80s sitcom. I watched some of Southern Fried Rice and it's not good. I get what they were trying to do, but they needed a lot more help and a lot more development, a lot more funding to make this into something that really wanted to speak to this issue in a nuanced, complex way. And like the actor who plays Coco, she goes in and out of this accent.
Did you meet the housing director?
Well, if you adore me, do you owe me? I had to get my girl something for her first date in college.
Well, where'd you get it though? And where'd you get the money?
Girl, I've been saving up my checks.
Like the character is supposed to be raised in this environment, raised in this neighborhood, raised with her Black American family, and she doesn't talk right. She doesn't look right. She doesn't act right. And what the fuck is up with her hair? New artists deserve funding, deserve the opportunity to grow. But this feels like either a college project or an independent project from a first-time director that was already made before Keke Palmer got her hands on it. Like, it does not feel like she actually did anything with the production. She actually developed it. She actually, put some investment into it outside of just pushing it out into the world. It's not good, and it's insensitive to the time we're in, and it allows for too much ambiguity about whether or not the project is for or against Asian Americans culturally appropriating Black Americans for profit. And as an Asian American creative, we can't let Asian Americans think it's okay to get away with that. We cannot. I'm sorry.
There was a lot of backlash. Y'all already know Black Twitter gets to work. I'm talking they immediately demolished the show and Keke, which led to her response.
Hey you guys, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I wanted to chop it up real quick about this series called Southern Fried Rice that's premiering on Keytv. That is receiving some controversial feedback. Now, Southern Fried Rice was created by Nakia Stevens, and while I can't speak to her inspiration for the show, I can speak to her dedication as a creative. I mean, Nakia has written, show-ran, and produced 4 shows alongside her damn right father and son duo Rosero and Eric McCoy, Chelsea Sanders, who created Make It Make Sense and Unlabeled by Lawrence Murray. Chelsea also did Dear Keke. Look, what you like is subjective, but the support of Black creatives is not. And it's a task that Keytv takes on with pride, because if you want to be a creative, you have to be able to create. And that takes money. And it's Keytv's mission to find the funds for you to be in practice, for you to experience trial and error, and to take your projects off the page and get more than one chance to do it in action. So whether you like it all or some or none, I say give these creatives a chance to grow as we continue to grow in supporting them. So God bless you guys. And like I said, Nakia has Southern Fried Rice that's coming out most recently, but she has Nepotista, Ho and Tails, and Psychology of Fuckboys. That's also some great stuff for you to check out. Take care. Thanks for listening. Holla.
Keke's whole stance was her platform funding and platforming a Black creative's work, which is an accomplishment a lot of people admire because we need more platforms creating Black entertainment. But it doesn't absolve her from criticism. Just because you're platforming our people doesn't mean you can drop questionable content. I'm honestly surprised that no one in the writer's room or even Keke or her team questioned the show as a tone-deaf project. Even the name itself raises some eyebrows. The climate in America right now is a bit rocky. The Trump administration are putting in efforts to slowly rid Black people of their civil rights and equal access. Affirmative action was introduced in the 1960s as an effort to address centuries of discrimination against African Americans. Unsurprisingly, right-wingers and racists started associating the policy exclusively with helping Black students or workers get ahead. Edward Blum, the founder of the Student Fair Admissions, argued that removing race-conscious admissions would help Asian American students gain fair access to Ivy League colleges. He claimed that affirmative action policies had discriminated against Asian applicants by giving special treatments to other minority groups, aka Black people. Now, I just wanted to note, not all Asian Americans supported this. There were a lot that were against this, but they used Asian Americans as the driving force to end affirmative action. But of course, there were a lot that did support it also. So the Supreme Court ended affirmative action in higher education in 2023. And guess what? Admissions for Asians did not increase. A study shows that after 2023, which has been like 2 years, almost 3, admissions has stayed the same for Asian Americans. And I always found it interesting how they, and I use the term they very loosely, always like to point the fingers at Black people. Somehow it's always Black people's fault, or certain policies, mind you, policies that benefit everybody. White women, Hispanic women, Black people, Asians, they benefit everybody, but somehow it's taken and just being like, it's just been thrown as like a policy that strictly benefits Black people, when that is far from the truth. Everybody, except white men, benefit from affirmative action. Everybody. But somehow, some way, they like to point the fingers at Black people. Instead of pointing the finger at the Ivy League colleges, you just point the finger at affirmative action and Black people. But it just reminded me of this quote: if you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice that you're picking his pocket. Hell, give him somebody to look down on and who'll empty his pockets for you. So now that affirmative action is no more, who is there to blame for the continued stagnation? I done got off topic real quick. Okay, so when it comes to the premise of this show, it's just bad timing. At one point, somebody had to read the room.
So Keke Palmer did not like the criticism of Southern Fried Rice, and she started her Twitter rant saying, as a tap dancer and a court jester for all my life, whatever that's supposed to mean. Listen, it's the fact that you all depend on black people to watch y'all shows like Tyler Perry, movies and shows. Y'all create these shows and movies, you put them on a platform, or like the last movie she had with SZA. And then when black people don't like it or saying we're tired of seeing the same thing, we're tired of seeing how we're being depicted, we're tired of people coming into our culture like it's a melting pot, like it's a potluck, and it's okay for people to imitate us, but we are not allowed to infiltrate any other cultures, you all get mad. Even though you're depending on our views, you're depending on our watch time, you're depending on our life source to give you money for the views and for the ratings. But when we criticize how much we don't like it, and we're seeing the same thing over and over in different font, like we've seen this play out before in another movie, I'm pretty sure, in another show, I'm pretty sure, you all are like, shut up and watch it. You better be glad we're even giving you anything. You better be glad we're even providing you some type of entertainment, regardless of how cliche and how stereotyped it is. It's ridiculous because even like Tyler Perry, he hears the criticism. He still puts out the same shit because black people, for whatever reason, still watch it.
I just wanted to pause at the Tyler Perry comment. I definitely agree that the quality of Tyler Perry's movies and shows have gone down drastically. I think it's different for Tyler because he started out as a great screenwriter, movie maker, and TV show creator. Tyler didn't start off bad. He got bad as time went on, as he generated a loyal audience that will support him no matter what. He has good movies and shows, like his catalog is very decent. I personally view him as like the Spike Lee of our generation, and I know that sounds crazy, but counting the amount of black directors who has succeeded like him, the options are very slim. And now Ryan Coogler is beginning to fill that position for the next gen. Tyler was able to build a strong, loyal base. Keke don't have that yet. She can't afford to drop tone-deaf shows like Southern Fried Rice. Even the name is ridiculous. And her response didn't really hit the mark either. And it will cause people to tune out due to her lack of care for constructive criticism.
Just like Tubi. Tubi is a white-owned channel. And and I know there's people making money. I know there's people who are otherwise just like these, low-class actors or whatever. They're on the bottom of the totem pole. They need money, so they're playing in these films. But it's just the fact that the more we keep giving our attention to things like this, they're going to think it's okay to keep creating shit like this. So it's like a double-edged sword. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't really expect too much from her because look at what they're looking at. The statistics don't lie as to what entertains the typical American black culture. And at the same time, you would expect more from Keke Palmer as far as like intellectually being more culturally aware, I would say, hopefully, I don't know. But at the same time, we got to stop depending on these actors and actresses and these artists to really try to depict us in a higher light. Like we have to stop. Just don't watch it.
I actually think that the idea is a unique topic that could have touched audiences better if it was more thought out. She responded to the backlash saying that the show was 10 years in the making. She actually dropped the show in 2019, and I guess it didn't get picked up, and it's the same recycled story. Again, I'm assuming she really thought she had a hit on her hands.
I wanted to come on here and first and foremost say thank you so much for watching the Southern Fried Rice trailer. I'm seeing the comments, I'm seeing the support, I'm seeing the discourse, and as a storyteller, I welcome it. I welcome conversation, I welcome curiosity. And for those of you who've been following me and supporting my journey, y'all know that Southern Fried Rice is 10 plus years in the making. And, it was inspired by my own HBCU experience and observations as a student at Savannah State University, the first public HBCU in Georgia. But no, I had friends at Savannah State University and people in my orbit who were non-black and had to navigate a historically black space. And I saw how hard and challenging and fun and beautiful it was for them to do so. And that sparked my curiosity and honestly planted the seed for Southern Fried Rice. And obviously over the years, it has been massaged into something more deeper and nuanced, but that was ultimately the seed, right? And I think my ultimate goal was to spark conversation around culture, around belonging, and around identity. And so that's what I think I've done. And I'm very proud of Southern Fried Rice. Furthermore, I'm very proud of the people behind Southern Fried Rice, other than me, the people I collaborated with. So a black woman director who also attended an HBCU, 3 producers who also attended HBCUs.
If we're being honest, the show is weird and filled with stereotypes. She definitely had the idea, but she didn't have the depth to really create a good story out of this without touching on Black cliches, especially for someone who prides themselves on embracing and being a storyteller within Black culture. Again, this is just criticism, and it happens to everybody. You're supposed to learn from it and embrace it. Y'all remember like earlier this year when the Netflix show Forever blew up and became mega popular within a few days? It wasn't because the story was some immaculate piece of television. It was because it was normal. Sometimes when it comes to Black entertainment, the writers, they write scripts where it gives off like they're trying to prove their Blackness through vernacular and animated personalities, and yeah, it's just very unrealistic and it's weird. It's very weird and it's uncomfortable. And that's what Southern Fried Rice gave. I think there's a lot of room for so much more than a script that AI could have wrote. Use your imagination as a true creative instead of diving into something that is unrealistic to the everyday Black experience and Asian experience. But let me know what you guys think about this show down below and the responses to the backlash. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Toodles.